Welcome to iRadio 1 o'clock news. First, here are the headlines making the top stories. Coming up, the Transitional National Legislative Assembly has closed the office of First Deputy Speaker, Honorable Oyed Nathaniel, citing misconduct related to his activities on social media. Senior members of the SPLM-IO in opposition are holding a leadership meeting in Juba to discuss the formation of the group's interim leadership. And at least 5 children with cholera have died while on a 3-hour difficult journey to seek medical treatment in Akobo County in Jonglei State, following the closure of their local health services over lack of funding amid the worsening cholera outbreak. Tune in for these stories and more coming to you in our news bulletin with me, Wol Mapl, and now the news in detail. The Transitional National Legislative Assembly has closed the office of First Deputy Speaker Honorable Oyed Nathaniel, citing misconduct related to his activities on social media. In a statement to state-owned TV SSBC, the legislature's spokesperson Oliver Mori Benjamin said the decision was made by the parliamentarian leadership. He said the office closure was in response to Honorable Oyed's continued use of parliamentary materials, including official letterhead and the institution's stamp, while publishing and engaging in issues online. He further stressed that as of the date of the announcement, Honorable Oyed no longer holds the authority to speak or act on behalf of the TNLA.
The leadership has taken the following decision: closure of his office. 2, they discover that Oyed is active in the social media, reporting issues, taking issues, using the head paper of the parliament and the stamp of the parliament as well. And because of that, he is no longer authorized to use any of these two, the heading paper of the parliament and the stamp of the parliament. This is taken on administrative basis so that the parliament is not judged on what is on the social media according to Oyed. Let it be known to everybody that as from the date of this announcement, Oyed no longer carries authority in the name of the TNLA.
First Deputy Speaker Oyed Nathaniel is yet to respond to the Parliament's claims. He had left Juba for a neighboring country while several other senior PLMIO officials disappeared to undisclosed locations within South Sudan, according to Information Minister Michael Makwei. This week, he suspended 4 senior members of the SPLMIO Political Bureau and Liberation Councils over an alleged plot to replace Dr. Machar as chairman of the party. Those he suspended challenged his authority, describing his move as unconstitutional. Senior members of the SPLM-IO in opposition are holding a leadership meeting in Juba to discuss the formation of the group's interim leadership. The meeting, chaired by Stephen Parkwall, Minister of Peace Building, is focusing on the nomination of the SPLM-IO chairperson, deputy chairperson, and secretary general. Participants include the Speaker of the Council of Estates, Deng Akon, Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Lasuba Wango, and former Deputy Minister of Finance, Agok Makur. The SPLM-IO says it remains committed to implementing the 2018 revitalized peace agreement. This meeting follows tensions within the group. On Monday, Deputy Chairperson Oyed Nathaniel announced the suspensions of Stephen Parkwall and 3 others, accusing them of plotting to replace First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar, who is under house arrest. In response, Parkwall rejected the suspension, asserting that Oyed Nathaniel has no authority to suspend him or the others. He emphasized that any dismissal must go through a formal disciplinary process within the political bureau. Par also accused Oyed of defecting from the SPLM-IO by leaving the chairman in Juba. Elsewhere, at least 5 children with cholera have died while on a 3-hour difficult journey to seek medical treatment in Akobo County in Jonglei State, following the closure of their local health services over lack of funding amid the worsening cholera outbreak. That is according to the UK-based charity Save the Children. Tijuok Lam reports.
The Children Agency said the children from a remote part of Akobo, along with 3 adults, died last month while trekking from their village to seek treatment at the nearest remaining health facility in Akobo town. The organization said the group walked in the blazing sun, where temperatures reached as high as 40 degrees Celsius, and no access to clean water, shade, or medicines. According to the aid group, early this year, the cholera victims would have had access to life-saving treatment in one of the 27th health facilities that it established and supported to provide free critical health care for conditions like malnutrition and cholera. But due to the recent foreign aid freeze, such services are no longer available, with 7 of these health facilities forced to shut completely and the remaining 20 partially closed, it said. Save the Children's County Director in South Sudan, Chris Nyamandi, suggested a global moral outrage over the aid cut, arguing the decisions made by powerful people in other countries have led to child deaths in just a matter of weeks. He said, and I quote, "It is critical that the world wakes up to the humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in South Sudan, a country where 4 out of 5 people need aid to survive. We must do everything in our power to prevent such deaths happening again. The first step is to make sure the current tensions in the country do not escalate further." Save the Children added that some of the health centers are only being run by volunteers and there is no longer transportation to take severely ill people to the hospital in town. It reported that cholera has been surging in Akobo since mid-February, with 44% of reported cases in children aged 17 and younger. Floods have also devastated crops, and combined with conflict have led to families in Akobo County also living with critical levels of food insecurity and malnutrition, some of the worst in the country, the report said. In January 2025, US President Donald Trump suspended all foreign aids from his country, and the US Department of State sent stop work orders to staff and contractors of USAID around the world. Trump also signed an executive order withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization in a significant move that drew criticism from public health experts. In South Sudan, World Health Organization provides emergency supplies to hospitals and health facilities across the country, in addition to bolstering health surveillance and response at the borders in times of major disease outbreaks. And that's on the report. I am Tek Joklam.
Vote of thanks, Tek Joklam. Moving on with our stories, the South Sudan National Revenue Authority has set a £200 billion target in monthly revenue collection by mid this year. According to Commissioner General Simon Okwei, the NRA was tasked by the Minister of Finance to raise 90 billion South Sudan pounds monthly. But for the past 3 months, Mr. Okwei said the NRA collected an average of 100 million pounds, routinely surpassing the monthly target. This is exemplified in March 2025 when the Revenue Authority collected 132.6 billion South Sudan pounds, exceeding the target of 92 billion South Sudan pounds. Namely, border post alone generated 36 billion South Sudan pounds for March, surpassing collections at around 30 billion pounds. The NRA boss went on to say the tax collection institution's focus now is to reach the 200 billion pound mark before the new financial year 2025-2026 begins. According to him, the set target is a test of South Sudan's taxpayers' abilities to run the country with non-oil revenue collections. Reaching the target, he said, will be a milestone achievement for the finance institutions. Commissioner Okwei spoke to our radio in an exclusive interview this morning.
With where we stand now, before the next budget, which is 1st of July, that means to say in June, together as private sector, government, the non-tax institutions, we should focus on how we can actually reach 200 billion mark by June the 30th. This will be an achievement to finance, because we want to test ourselves. Can we actually run our country? This is the question we are asking. A taxpayer, so all of us as South Sudanese, the investors, whoever is involved in running South Sudan, can we finance our budget? Yes, we can finance our budget. Yeah, without anything, together with the resources that we have and revenue collections, yes, we can finance our budget. You know, and on average, we are with the current budget, the current running budget now, 2024-2025 budget. The Revenue Authority was given 90 billion per month, of which on average we have been collecting for the last 3 months more than 90 billion. Our average is actually 100 above 100 billion for 3 months. So if we are at this point now, we are able to collect our budget that was given to us by the Minister of Finance. We should raise the bar by June 200 billion.
The revenue boss is stressed that revenue collection is the responsibility of every citizen working in South Sudan to pay their taxes to the government. Commissioner Okwei also appeals to relevant institutions collecting taxes to remit their collections to the government coffers.
I want to pass the following messages. Number one, we have the responsibility as South Sudanese to finance our budget. And for us to do that, we must work hard, work together to be able to finance that. Second, for compliance issues, we must also be compliant, because tax is a voluntary responsibility from every citizen, from every company, from every government institution that is supposed to collect taxes. It is a responsibility. I know some of the international agencies are not also compliant. It is a responsibility of every institution working in the Republic of South Sudan collect taxes to pay to the government. Because where else will the government get the revenues from? It is from actually the work that you do. A little of that should go to the government. And I appeal to all of us that whatever you collect and you remit to the government, it is going to be used correctly. It is going to be well used for the benefit of South Sudan, not for our individual interests.
And finally, before regional and international stories, former Judge Gary Raimondo is calling on the government to either transfer a deported Congolese national to their embassy in Juba or subject him to trial. Raimondo stated that the issue should be addressed by the East African Community laws, as the individual in question is a citizen of a partner state. He emphasized that if investigations reveal any criminal activity, the individual should be subjected to the legal framework of both South Sudan and the East Africa Common Market Protocol. Raimondo pointed out that Article 7 of the East Africa Community Common Market Protocol stipulates that any person who commits a crime within South Sudan is subject to the country's laws. He clarified that the protocols of the East African Community apply because the individual is a citizen of one of the member states. The issue emerged after the government confirmed that Mr. Mukula Kintu, a foreign national deported to Juba by the Trump administration on April 6th, was granted entry to South Sudan. Kintu's identity crisis, particularly his use of South Sudanese travel documents under the name Nimere Garang, has led to confusion and a diplomatic standoff between Juba and Washington over the past few days. Upon his arrival at Juba International Airport, South Sudanese immigration authorities determined that Kintu was not a South Sudanese national but rather a Congolese citizen from the Ema tribe in North Kivu province of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Speaking to our radio this morning, lawyer Raimondo advised the Minister of Interior to resolve the issue in line with East Africa regulations.
So my advice to the Minister of Interior to handle this issue according to East African community. This person is a citizen of partner state and they have their house here, the embassy of the Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo in Juba. Let them just meet the ambassador and handle this person. But if the investigator that this person has committed a crime, then he's subjected to the laws of South Sudan as ordinary citizen. We will handle him as our citizen because they enjoy, according to Common Market Protocol, in Article 7 of Common Market. Because of time, I would have read to you. We have many things here.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Unless the only problem is if you commit a crime, then it's subjected to the laws of South Sudan. Okay? Because it's part of East African community. The crime he committed is also tribal in South Sudan. We have Section 7. We have Section 7, we have Section 6 of our penal code. Can do anything.
This is our Radio 1 O'Clock News, and to the regional international stories, here is my colleague Nyathong William.
3 Americans convicted for their role in a failed coup in Democratic Republic of Congo last year have been sent home to the U.S. to serve the rest of their jail terms. The 3 were originally sentenced to death by a military court before their sentence were commuted to life in prison last week. U.S. Department of State spokesperson Tammy Bruce said the 3 were in their custody. Elsewhere, 20 people have been killed in a fire at a nursing home in northeast China, state media report. The blast in Chengde City, Hebei province, broke out on Tuesday night local time and was extinguished in about 2 hours. 19 people survived the fire and were taken to hospital for observation, report says. Authorities are investigating the cause of the blast and a person in charge of the home has been detained. And finally, China accuses the White House of bullying practices after Donald Trump imposed 104% duties on Chinese goods into the U.S. The duties on China kicked in after Beijing refused to meet Trump's deadline to withdraw its own retaliatory levies on the U.S. China's export to the U.S. amount to 2% of its total economic activity, and the message from Beijing is they can ride this out, reports Stephen McDonnell. That's all in the stories making headlines in the region and international. And now back to you, Wol Mapl.
Thank you very much, Nyathong William, for the regional and international stories. Coming up next is our Sports with Madrama James.
what's happening in the world of sport. Arsenal delivered a sensational Champions League performance last night, swapping aside reigning champions Real Madrid 3-0 at the Emirates in the quarter-final first leg. Declan Rice was the star of the show, carrying home 2 exquisite free kick in a second-half masterclass. Mikel Moreno added the third, capitalizing on a chaotic Real defense before Eduardo Camavinga saw red card laid on for dissent, putting the ball away in frustration. With the One Food family in the semi-finals, Mikel Arteta's men have sent shockwave through Europe. Meanwhile, Unai Emery returned to his only stopping ground at Paris Saint-Germain, with Aston Villa as he guided his side to a historic Champions League semi-final. Having masterminded PSG infamous collapse to Barcelona in 2017, Unai now leads an informed Villa side up against a PSG outfit that already toppled Man City and Liverpool, with Emery's touchline now central to Villa's hope of a famous result. Those are some of the stories making headlines in the world of sports, and back to you, my colleague Wol Mapl.
And here marks the end of our stories for this afternoon, but first let's have a quick recap of our headlines once again. The Transition National Legislative Assembly has closed the office of First Deputy Speaker Honorable Oyed Nathaniel, citing misconduct related to his activities on social media. Senior members of the SPLM in opposition are holding a leadership meeting in Juba to discuss the formation of the group's interim leadership. And finally, at least 5 children with cholera have died while on a 3-hour difficult journey to seek medical treatment in Akobo County in Jonglei State, following the closure of their local health services over lack of funding amid the worsening cholera outbreak. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page, iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. You stay tuned for news in Arabic at 1:30. I am Wol Mapl on behalf of iRadio News team. Thank you for listening.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio.
With where we stand now, before the next budget, which is 1st of July, that means to say in June, together as private sector, government, the non-tax institutions, we should focus on how we can actually reach 200 billion mark by June the 30th. This will be an achievement to finance, because we want to test ourselves. Can we